Hey y'all, it's your girl Michaela Janae here, back with another video. As you can see from this same little setup, I'm recording a lot of videos today, but that is because I look good, so y'all gonna see this makeup look over and over again. So today I'm gonna be going over the books I read in November. It was not a lot because to me, my Libby app hasn't really been having the books that I've wanted. It hasn't been having like the new books, so I'm kind of having to dig for some old content that I like that fits into what I want. So I still want to share with you guys what I read though. There were a lot of books that I kind of like started and gave up on because it didn't work. But the first really good book that I read in December was By Her Own Design by Piper Hughley. Okay, first of all, this was a story that I didn't know I needed. As you guys know, I love to sew, I love fashion, and I love Southern and Black history, and that was all of this wrapped into one book. This book was so good. It had me constantly wanting to learn more. I of course did my own research. Whenever a book can make me research the city that it's in or research the people that it's about, you know it's a good book. So this book was about Anne Lowe. She's a Black woman and a granddaughter of slaves. She rose above personal struggle and racial prejudice to design and create one of America's most famous wedding dresses of all time for Jackie Kennedy. And this book basically tells her story. It tells her story of her husbands, of her kids, basically just her life from birth, just how it was in the South at that time, in the 40s, in the 50s, and it was just amazing. You got to see how white society interacted with the Black help and how they viewed, you know, some Black people. Just because they could do something for them, basically they were okay with some Black people. To see that interaction was amazing, and just to hear that she basically pioneered so much. She actually made flowers out of fabric, and like growing up her family was telling her like that it was useless. Being a Black person, you can't just create for fun. You have to create something that white people will find valuable, and that's just saying a lot. Like if it wasn't valuable in white people's eyes, you just shouldn't be doing it because you're wasting your time. This woman eventually became widely celebrated, world renowned, went to Paris, did so much that Black people couldn't even think about ever doing. She was honored in spaces, and then in a lot of ways she was also overlooked, and she didn't get her flowers until later, after the fact. After she passed away, she had a very hard life. She had to make hard decisions, but it was worth it because she was a trailblazer. She got so much done. She broke so many barriers. She just pushed through. She did not take no for an answer. She tried different things. She did things that made like historical, monumental things in not only the fashion industry but for Black people. I love this book. 10 out of 10. I love that it was telling a story. It wasn't a regular biopic novel. It told a story, and it's like you were in her head. You understood the characters. Like I loved it. Every aspect of it, every part of it, I loved it. The next book that I read in November was Would You Rather by Allison Ashley. This book was about two friends, and this was, ooh, I'm kind of rusty on my tropes, but it's about two friends. One of the friends has, what does she have? She has a kidney problem, so she's waiting on a kidney transplant, but she also got an offer to go back to school because she never finished college because of the kidney issue. Like her parents had to sell a bunch of stuff to help her get kidney treatment, and it's something that she's basically gonna have to do for the rest of her life until she can get this kidney transplant. But she needs insurance, so she can't go back to school and work because that just, she wouldn't have time. She wouldn't have time to do both. But she works at a company with her best friend, and her best friend is the founder, CEO's son, and he's secretly in love with her, and she's secretly in love with him. So he's like, let's get married. And then he was like, and she was like, why would I marry you? And he was like, so you can use my insurance and we can commit insurance fraud. So they commit insurance fraud, they get married, and of course it turns into a real romance. It was pretty good. I like this book. This book was good. I don't remember if it was closed door or open door, but I don't think there was a lot of open doorness. If there was open door, I don't think it was a lot of it. You really get to see their love come into play, and I like when it's best friends to lovers. That's what the trope was, I guess. They didn't know they loved each other, but it was like childhood best friends, all that type of stuff. This book was really good. I liked it, and I was surprised at how much I liked it, but it was good. Other people might not like it, but I liked it. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read, which yes, I did not read enough in the month of November. I was really busy. I read Mr. Malcolm's List, which this book was actually turned into a movie. And I've been trying to see the movie, but I didn't see it when it first came out. So then I was like, let me read this book. And this book was so good. Like 5 out of 5 stars already. So this is about a man, Mr. Malcolm, who has a list of all his qualifications, which was, I guess, was a big deal back then in like, what year was this? I don't know what year this is supposed to be in, but it was like 1800s, I'm supposing. 1800s, I'm just guessing. Pulling out of thin air, 1800s. That says in 1800s. It was a big deal for a man to have a list of qualifications. For anybody to have a list of qualifications about what they want in a partner. You're basically just supposed to be happy with what you get. But Mr. Malcolm was rich and he had some standards. He wanted certain things out of his lady, which I didn't see no problem in. But one of the women that he dated, he went on one date with and then never called back, got upset. And she got bitter. So she got her best friend from high school. Well, she wasn't even best friend. She got her friend from high school to come into town, into London, and trick the man into thinking that she was the perfect girl based off of this list. And eventually she was going to present her own list to show Mr. Malcolm how it felt to be judging you against the list. So that was the premise of this book. It was basically supposed to be like a ploy. It had like 5 main characters, and the love interest, the main love interest, her name was Selena. I loved her. She was very believable. But like, it was a 5 out of 5 star book, but I feel like I should give it 4 because I feel like somewhere in between she should have just told this man, because she eventually started to fall in love with him, of course, because he wasn't at fault in this scenario. Like, it's not bad to have a list. Well, she got kind of upset because he would start testing her. Like, that's not cool at all. You're right, this is a 4 out of 5 star book because he was doing some stuff that wasn't cool. But once you saw that you could work past that and you were falling in love with him, you should have said, this other girl had a whole scheme to get back at you, but I really like you. Like, she should have said that so earlier. She didn't have to wait till the end. She did not have to wait that long to tell that man the truth. She would have had a way easier way to fall into love, okay, basically. But they ended up like making a fool out of him because she kept going along with it. Not all the way, but like too much for my liking. She should have said something so she could have got her husband, because she knows she needed the money. She knows she wanted to find love in a hurry. She didn't have no job. Yeah, but it was a really good book. I really enjoyed the book. It was a page turner, and now I really want to see the movie, because in the movie the man was black. So that's really interesting that they put that in the 1800s setting. I usually don't like period pieces. I never watched Bridgerton or none of that. I'm not into all of that. But this was really good. I'm really glad I read it. And it was surprisingly very interesting. Will I read another period piece? Probably not. Probably not. But this one was good and I'd recommend it to you guys. So these were all of the books that I read in the month of November. It's literally so small, not a lot of books, but they were good quality books. And I'd read them, and I wouldn't read them again, but I'd recommend that you read them. So I hope you all enjoyed this quick little video. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. Make sure you're commenting, liking, and subscribing. I'm gonna see you guys in my next video.